Hello again, Porsche fans. Today we may have a disaster waiting to happen. I think I've ordered from these guys before off AliExpress. It's called PCH Model Store. But look at this box. And it's because whoever packed this is a moron and doesn't realize the abuse that things go through in international shipping. So let's find out if this thing happens. The reason why I bought this is because look at the price of this. This is supposed to be a resin model, and it's this plus that. It's less than $30 shipped. So I'm willing to take a chance, and that's exactly what we're going to find out if this chance paid off or not, because I wouldn't be surprised if there's some damaged parts, loose parts, if not actually a cracked case or something like that. Well, it is bubble wrapped, but you can see, you know, when you have that much extra space, that extra space collapses during shipping as other boxes are thrown on top of it. Okay, anyway, so hopefully, I think it'll probably be okay. I looked up this car, and there's an artist who I've never heard of before called Daniel Arsham, and he's known as a futurist and an artist. Just looking at these images, it looks like, to me, a fine artist, but he's one of these rare occasions where he seems to have made a living being an artist. So good for you, Mr. Arsham. Here we go, nice. And then, so I'm not going to talk about that Porsche 930. I'm pretty sure I've spoken about that car before. Over here we have the RWB website, and here's annoying animation behind the stats. Right there. One of these kits costs $24,000 for this wide body kit, which contains these parts. I'm pretty sure you could buy a used 930 maybe for 20. I don't know. I'm not in the market to buy used Porsches, but that just seems like a lot of money for a body kit, right? When you could buy an entire functioning car instead. So that RWB guy must be quite wealthy. Alright, so I've never heard of this brand here. Let me close these out. Got the photographs here from an article about this car. Let's see, LJM is supposedly the fly-by-night brand. It's all Chinese text, and it's supposed to be 164 and an RWB 930. Alright. Okay. And then this box is taped together. Okay. It's got some like Apple tones to it. I know there's another Porsche out there with the actual Apple colors, like Apple computer when I say Apple. And this one seems to have some inspiration just based off of that image right there, but clearly the colors are not matching the old school Apple logo. The question is Apple like Ferrari going to sue this guy? Yeah, it's a resin model. I can just tell by how light the whole thing is. But that means we should probably get some really good detail here. Let's see the side view. Alright, so now I'm noticing that there's no side vents on this real car. So LJM or whoever really made this mold was just making a mold of a different car, and they just stuck this livery onto this. You know, the wheels aren't obviously the same either. So, yeah, this really isn't the car. It's similar, but it's not really. Yeah, the font of this, I don't know, maybe that is right. I see the Goodyear and some other text there. And you'll see the exhaust pipe here in this photo. I think it's one exhaust pipe. I might be mistaken. It's really black, but this model has two. So again, it's not the same car, but it wasn't expensive either, so I'm not that bothered by it. So the base, you know, it's one of those standard crystal box bases, plastic, but it's got this felt. I guess it's probably wrapped around a piece of cardboard. It's very soft. It's kind of nice, but I do have a little suspicion that that's going to totally fall apart because it's artificial. You know, it's plastic, really. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the future all this brown stuff is on the model as it deteriorates. And then you have this photo etched placard here. So there's not even an LJM branding here because, again, these guys aren't going to be around forever. but it's around 300 of this livery, and this is halfway through that production. I do always question those, you know, quantities as well. I mean, if this is an illegally produced model, who's to say that this is even truthful, right? It's an illegal model, so yeah, take that into account. Alright, so again, the wheels are totally different. This has some mesh like BBS wheels, and they got some lug nut details, center cap details. The black is probably a photo etched piece of metal, or no, it's not, because it's so three-dimensional in the middle part. But the spokes are so thin, so it's really well done. If it is a molded piece of plastic, I guess it would have to be, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a brake back there too, if it's a resin model. I think so. I can't tell. Just looking through the screen. Let's try the rear wheel if we can see anything in there. Let me zoom in further and hit focus, and then put the flashlight there. Yeah, I think the brake caliper is by the door. It's black, so that's why it's hard to see, but I can definitely see the rotor now. It's silver. And the front one, if I had to guess, the brake caliper is again by the door. Okay, so yeah, nice, I guess. And so next thing I'm seeing is, you know, the lip of this wheel is very shiny. It's a mirror. Possibly that's a piece of metal, like a tube that was CNC milled, and then they put the middle piece in it because it's really shiny. Look at the reflection. The tire is very nicely done. It might be a little crushed, but it's got a, you know, a three-dimensional sidewall, and the knobbies aren't very truck-like. Yeah, it'd be nice if they weren't there at all, but they're not so bad. Then we have this side marker. It's a translucent piece of orange, so that's nice. It's not printed, it's an actual piece of plastic. But as usual in these resin kits, you have these decals, so you can see air gaps, you know, gap, no gap, gap, right? This one is just totally spanning the door. If I press that, it's going to crack. I'm not going to do that today. But here we have Vermoa. That's a fine piece of luggage. Built-in shocks. And what does that say above it? Is that the... I can't read that. It's not... I can't make it out. But look at the door handle. It's three-dimensional. There's actually air passing behind it. So if you had really small hands, you could actually try to open that. And then the vent itself, there's three, I'm going to guess, metal pieces here with the painted black for the strakes. They're so thin. They're thinner than this toothpick, so... And then this vent actually does go in a bit, so I think it's just darkness in there, not paint. But what I do like is how this graphic does wrap in there mostly, and then it continues with a different decal on this side. So it looks very well done. There's Arsham again, gold, black on gold. Well, I'm now trying to decipher, I think I can feel that. Yeah, I think this, well... I'm debating if this is under... I feel like this is under the clear coat right here. Yeah, I think these graphics are actually under the clear coat, because I don't see that wrinkliness that you see on like a Tarmac Works or a Inno64. It's just perfectly smooth. I mean, look at the reflection right here of the light. You don't see any wrinkliness of a decal. It's under the clear coat, so that's fantastic. I believe this is actually off-white, what I'm touching here. So I think that's part of the graphic decal, and then this is the white of the body. I might be mistaken, but it does look off-white compared to that white. There's a little black rectangle down there. Maybe that's like a jacking up point. The black molding there along the side sill is nicely painted, or maybe it's a decal, and it wraps around the back bumper. Now, actually, let me finish off the side. So we have the super thin packaging windows with the photo etched black painted piece of molding around it, and then we have a reflective sticker inside that mirror, so that's very good. The fuel filler, look at the nice tight panel gap there, as well as all the other gaps, because this is a plastic body. Alright, I guess I will go around to the front, that's logical, right? Alright, so nice translucent orange turn signals and some translucent yellow fog lights. This 2G again, yeah, that's got to be under the clear coat. No wrinkliness shown, and it feels smooth. Look at these headlights, very cool. You have this black photo etched piece of metal, you know, for the surround, and then a whole lot of dimensionality behind that lens. What I'm feeling with the pick is very smooth. So on the back side, they must have all these ribs. You can see it really here. You know, all the Fresnel lensing of a headlamp bulb. No, not the bulb, but the back glass. What I'm not a fan of this black molding. You know, it's on the real car, but I don't like it. It's kind of an eyesore in the real car. But the problem with this is, you can see, you know, it's not a perfectly flat surface, so it's just kind of undulating. It's I guess that's realist. They're going for realism, so unfortunately it just doesn't work all the time. It would be nicer to look at without it. Now this little dot here for the fluid, I think that's a divot, but there it looks like it's raised. That's raised, but this side, no, maybe it is raised. Yeah, you can kind of see a little bump there. So I think it's just a little black dot of paint on a little bit of a bulge in the mold. We have a silver, what I assume radiator, and I assume this is actually a piece of photo etched metal because the separation of color is so good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's photo etched metal. So you can see on this fog light here, you know, this yellow Fresneling. It's pretty nice. I don't see a little dot back there though. That would have been cool to see like a dot, so it looks like a light bulb. There's even some Fresneling here in the turn signal, so that's nice. So really cool lights, you know, dimensional, all this like depth and detail to these plastic lights. Alright, so this actually has a Porsche crest. Granted, it's not the greatest Porsche crest in 164, but at least it has the general outline in some black and gold color. Alrighty, here. So there's a little piece of black metal, I'm gonna assume here, little glue sticking underneath, but this is a real piece, it's not paint. Alright, same with the wiper blades, those are separate pieces. They're bent somewhat to the, yeah, they are bent perpendicular almost to the windshield there, so that's good. The thin plastic again with the black painted molding there. This side here, I think that graphic is different. Yeah, that's a different graphic, so there's different graphics on this side of the car, which is nice. In the interesting roof. Alright, nothing wrong here. Going to the roof, yeah, you got those weird colors for this Apple logo, and it's perfectly smooth. Well, alright, you can see some dimpling in the clear coat, but it's definitely, this decal is below the clear coat. Very nice. It's an 88, what's that? 8G? .8G or 80? I don't know. Yeah, boy, that tire is really scrunched up and it's kind of not centered. I feel like I should release some tension, actually. I'm going to release some tension because I feel like that other front wheel was being crushed. As long as it doesn't wobble. Alright. Yeah, unfortunately that didn't help this rear wheel we're looking at now. It's just pushed too far forward. I don't think it's going to move unless I take it apart. That's unfortunate. Okay, well, the rear tail turn signal here, you can see that egg crate pattern behind there. Again, it feels perfectly smooth. And then the backup lights also, the egg crate pattern, and then we just have a red, you know, brake light there. It's interesting that there isn't a Porsche that I can see so far. I think they could have easily molded that into the backside of the piece of plastic. Unless this is like poured resin. It's possible these things, taillights, are poured resin. But even if that was the case, they could have made the mold so it says Porsche. But for some reason I feel like I see a circle or some shape there and there. Maybe there and there. Not. So there's something back there. Let me get the flashlight. Yeah, there's some molded light buckets back there. So that's cool. Unfortunately, there's no molded Porsche lettering. That would have been even cooler. or if they actually printed Porsche on the back side of that, or even the front side. All I know is I see it on the rear photograph. So the license plate here, that's blank, but I think that's a separate piece. I can feel the lip right there. This black rubber molding, maybe it's a decal. It's well done. It's very well done, very impressive. And then yes, as I mentioned, the two exhaust tips may not match the photo. They're tubular, they're hollow, but they're so jagged, which makes me wonder if these are cut pieces of metal, but they were never polished after the cutting. Like, those are literally the marks of like a hacksaw blade or something. Okay, some sort of sponsorship or text on the corners. I can't really make it out. That says Porsche Turbo and Goodyear there, so that's good. This stripe here carries across pretty well. There's a tiny bit of it right there. Yeah, looking at the top photo, this whole area should be black, but again, this model isn't quite matching. But it's nice that they took some black paint and put them in these vents, and then they smeared it up, cleaned it up after, so that's nice that they did that. The back glass has a piece of metal for the molding as well. And then the interior is left. It's obviously a dark interior, and there's a rear view mirror hanging right there. Okay, yeah, we're gonna need the flash it again. Maybe this is too bright. Go to 1 lumen. Well, you can see the venting there. I gotta get the angle without the reflection of the photo booth. You can definitely see the gauges look really cool. Oh, sorry, I keep it. There we go. No reflection there. Yeah, look at that. So the steering wheel, decent enough molded details, but really it's those gauges. I think that's one decal spanning the 5 circles, but it was laid on really well. Yeah, the stick shift there looks good. There's some gauges maybe behind it. I don't know if those are the HVAC controls in front of the stick shift or what. Now the question is, oh, yep, pedals. Look at that. I lost the light, sorry. Where was that flashlight? Go super bright. Next brightness, 65 lumens. Yeah, there's definitely a gas pedal or clutch pedal, something right there. Maybe try from this side. No. Maybe that's a gas pedal. Well, I'm sure there's 3 pedals. It's just that it's hard to see through such a small, model. Let's see about this side. Maybe I could hold this thing with one hand. Let's try this so I can hit the focus button. I'm looking for seat belts. So that's unfortunate. There's no indication of seat belts, but it's got racing seats with actual holes for the seat belts to go through. The rear seats also have some ribbing there, horizontal ribbing. There's the e-brake lever right there. You can see some glue holding that passenger seat down. So it's pretty nice. Nothing really wrong with the interior. It just says just a black interior. Look at the photographs. This back sill and the dashboard should be like a lighter color, like a light tan color or something. Still looking for those gas pedals there. I can't find the angle. It looks like there's a roll cage now, or half of a roll cage. I'm also noticing on the back sill at that angle there's some sort of weird dirtiness. See, look at that. What is all that white stuff on the back sill? But here, no, it's definitely there. See? It's like roughness in the plastic or something, I think. So not the greatest there. But again, you saw the price of this. This costs less than a Hobby Japan where I live. And so this makes Hobby Japan look like garbage. This is just so much better. It's just crazy. There's no decals. The finish of the paint is smooth. It's got disc brakes. Actually, Hobby Japan's very often have disc brakes. Alright, well, we obviously know it's better than any TLV. Even the expensive TLVs. This is well beyond that. Time to show off some other resin 911s. We're going to start with the worst one, I guess. Worst being, this is not actually 1/64 scales made by Timothy and Pierre. This thing is much smaller than 1/64. I'll do a top view. Look at the overall length. You can even tell, even though they're spinning, this purple car is simply smaller. Which is really odd. I don't understand why they would even make a model that well detailed and not have it 1/64. And this is the reason why I haven't bought any other Timothy and Pierre's, because they're expensive models. And if I'm going to pay that much money, I want it to fit in with my other models. So, I know they have some other castings that are interesting to me, but I'd have to see it in person. But not many people stock Timothy and Pierre's, so... This next one is actually a 934, and I believe it's by JEC, which is a different fly-by-night operation because there's no branding on it, right? So, nice details on this one as well. I like that it has white seats so you can actually see them. And a different type of wide-body kit on that guy. So yeah, Timothy and Pierre. Real unfortunate. Such a beautiful model, but out of scale. Let's lose this. One brand that has yet to let me down, where's a piece of wood? I gotta knock on it later. Is Fuel Me. Every model I've got from Fuel Me is great. No major problems yet to date. There was one model where it didn't have the Porsche logo on it. It was an optional decal. And maybe they're trying to avoid being sued. Fuel Me, you know, their brand logo is right there. I think they're intending to stay around in the hobby. So, other than that, I mean, I ended up putting the decal on, and so it's not an issue. Okay, so there's the JEC. I think this JEC model is really inexpensive in the realm of resin models as well. Okay, now, actually I'm going to remove this. I'm going to show you the best 911s that I'm aware of right now. So, Titan 64, they make these Singer 964s, and for a while that was probably the nicest model in my collection, one of these Titan 64s. I think it was probably the other color one I have. But then I think this one is an MY64, and it's this Kega Retro. And so this possibly is better? It's hard to say. They're both so darn good. Oh, that's a piece of wood, so I'm knocking on it. Either one of these two brands, you can't, I think you're not going to be let down. This one has a crazy, like, quilted pattern or something on the seats. I think it's just a decal, but there's just a lot of parts on this one. There's also a lot of parts on that one, or actually any of them, because they're all resins, but all three of these models we're looking at now, very well executed. But this is still a notch below because of that silly black decal that's mimicking the molding there. You don't have that, you know, opportunity for ugliness with just the design of these cars in real life. So, okay, so top view. All right, let's get that thing spinning on its own here. So, as often is the case, I learn about things in the real world, and apparently I learned about Arsham as a futurist and a designer and a fine artist and everything else he wants to be known as. It's nice that he's been able to, I guess, put a nice Porsche together, and so good for him. And this is a decent representation of these photographs. Obviously the wheels are the main detractor, but the other graphics are pretty darn close, if not actually spot on. And, you know, a little black paint missing in that wing. And, well, you know what? if you look at the back photo, this Arsham car has those ugly bumpers on it. So I'm actually happy this model doesn't have those ugly bumpers. So this is better in that respect. Thank you for watching today, guys. I'll see you in the next resin review. You saw there's in that AliExpress listing, there's still a bunch more. So if you're okay with this livery and you've never bought a resin model before, less than $30 delivered, I don't know how you can beat that. I really don't. You can get one of these, or you can go buy a, Ano 64. I don't, you know the answer, what you should do. See ya, guys.